G'day and welcome. So this video is going to be a bit different to what we've done in terms of, I've got a camera absolutely loaded. The card's loaded with odds and ends I've been doing over a reasonably long period of time. And normally with, small bits and pieces, I might put them in the titles at the end of a video, but these, I've just got so many of them, the memory card's full. Not full, that's not quite true, but it's getting there, And there are just so many bits and pieces that I want to talk about, but I haven't got enough in each one to make a video. So it's kind of about loose ends, this one. And so much so that I've actually had to write a list. October this year is 10 years since I started doing YouTube. And this has been the toughest year. There's been years that have been easier and years that have been difficult. But this one particularly has been a tough one. My marriage dissolved and Susie moved out. And there's just crap everywhere. I've got some stuff I need to get rid of. There's been a lot of cleaning up inside, painting the house and all this sort of other business. And I've also, one thing that's really slowed me down, I guess, is I've got to move a shed just out here that I put up about 5 years ago and it's absolutely full. Well, it's not now, half it's on the porch. But that's got to be moved because I've arranged for a carport. And the carport was originally going to go at the front, but I got a permit for it, and they originally thought that a neighbour's bedroom or study window or something was too close to the forward edge of it. And he's a terrific neighbour, and I spoke to him and he said, yeah, it's fine. And then he came the next day and said, you know what, I'm not convinced, I don't mean to complain, and I said, we won't do it, if it's going to bother you, I don't want to do it. But we did agree that it's better for him and also better for me if it's behind. And what's particularly good about that is I can get the slab blade and leave it as a leave it as a carport with the XA and the EJ on it, do the metal work out in the open, and then wall it in and knock this wall down. And so it becomes a bigger garage then. And I think that's going to work really well, but there's a lot of bits I've got to do in preparation for that. So the permit's gone through, the deposit's been paid on it, and I have to pay the balance, I think, in about a fortnight. Not sure I'm going to pay it. I've got to save up for a slab, and it goes on and on. So that's been sort of that, along with the other house stuff's been slowing me down a little bit. XA news. So there's not much on that. It's just sitting in limbo at the moment. I think it's still at Graham's place. I'm not sure. It might be at his dad's. I certainly haven't heard anything to that end, but there are some parts that I want to go through that I'll show you, which I haven't shown before. The XC, I've got the drip rail mouldings for it now, although they do have to have some reconditioning work done on them. They were on the roof cut that Graham sourced for the XA, and so they're really good ones. Just a little bit of damage on them to get sorted. The ones that came off the XA were pretty bad, but I have got those too. So they could possibly get done, or I might keep one and get another one or whatever. And also the XC, I haven't got the guard paint. I've just got to finish something off on it, but that means that can all get painted, or the guard can get painted, and once I've got the other one back, the car's finished, almost finished. It wouldn't take much to do it. Smoking table I did at the end in one of the title videos, and we pulled a smoking table apart and I got special lead and all this sort of stuff, and I didn't show you the end of it, and I'll show it today where I broke it. I broke the mirror with the etching on it, and it's not good. But anyway, you've got to say, even people that have done this stuff before tend to make mistakes, and mine was just a stupid mistake which caused it to crack. The munted starlet, the silver one, got finished off, and I showed that, but I didn't show the end of it, and that was actually on the end of the guitar video, and the guitar video wasn't very popular at all. I think it accrued 900 views or something fairly quickly, and then I think it's up to 1,500 now, so it didn't go well. But if anyone wanted to see the end of that starlet stuff, it's at the end of that guitar video. I just put it there in the titles. The VE Commodore I brought back, my SS, rats got into it. Now, that sounds worse than it is, I should articulate. When they burn off in the country, all the rats run away and go to suburban areas and all this sort of stuff anyway. They didn't eat anything, but they nested in the bonnet insulation. So I've got to get a new piece of bonnet insulation, but I brought that home and took the Sigma up there, because if rodents cause chewing or chew anything, fuel lines and looms in a VE, it's a much harder thing to do than it is in a Sigma. But I drove the Sigma there, and the regulator died, the alternator regulator, and so by the time I got there, there was a rainstorm, and I'm driving through it. The wiper's getting really slow, and I'm thinking the engine's going to quit any time now because it's not charging, and the battery's got to be dead flat. So as soon as I got to Suzanne's place, I turned the engine off and went to start it, and it was dead. Like it was really almost completely flat, but the engine still ran, and we got there safely, which is good. So I bought the Commodore back. I'll replace that bit of bond insulation. I'm in two minds whether to sell the car. I don't use it, and it's probably worth something. So it might alleviate some financial pressure because I've got a bit of that at the moment. Jason Hill has a 351 engine that I'm doing for him. That's at the machine shop at the moment. I won't show any footage of that in here, but I might give him that footage to put in his videos because I think that's what he wanted to do with that. And of course, I've got to get rid of that white Starlet. I've got to just paint some guards and all this sort of stuff, but I'll do that at the same time as the XC's guard. So this is kind of messy and it doesn't flow. I like to start a video as this is where we left off, this is what we're doing, a good bit of content there, and then we end it. This one's going to be like bits and pieces, higgledy-piggledy. I think there's some CB radio stuff too. I had CB radios when I was a kid, and I had to pick up a jack for Kevin, Suzanne's fella, because he's been instrumental, and I've gone around. He's actually found some really good XA stuff, which I went and got. And the guy had a CB radio. I said, how much is this? He goes, $50. So I grabbed it. Not that I'll ever use it, probably, but I'll show you that, and we'll talk a little bit about those as well. But anyway, look, at the end of the day, I hope you enjoy. And the look of things to come. This is the XC's guard. Beautiful piece of work. It's just sitting there. I haven't got it sort of bolted up properly. Hang on a minute. Let me just lift the bonnet in. This has to be, of course, painted and fitted. And it's just sitting over there. So the gaps, the shut lines aren't sorted out or anything. But I did check them before I did the work. So I'm absolutely really wrapped with this. And it was... What I didn't know, actually, is it was stressing Graham a little bit sitting there like that. So I said to him, look, there's just a couple of little bits and pieces to finish with it. And I said, I'll do that. That's pretty easy. It gave me, by him doing it, gave me the, that's still in focus? By him sort of commencing the work or doing all the work and just leaving a tiny little bit here and there, gave me the sort of energy to be motivated to finish it and this sort of stuff. So once we got the second one back, the second one still needed a little bit of finessing, but once we get that back, I think we're really in the clear with it. It's all good. I didn't appreciate, somebody left a message or a comment, and the guy that did it is a really good guy. He's been a great supporter of mine, but he did say, just tell him to get on with it all. There was something to that effect, and I thought, that's a little bit rude, and, I don't think Graham needed to see that. I think he was a bit offended, but he is running a business at the end of the day, and this was a free job, so it takes the back seat to everything else. So once these are on, I've got the headlights all done. The grille I've got to do a little bit of work on, and then that can go on. And the front bumper, I'm just going to use the second-hand one I've got. Same with the rear bumper. It's not perfect, but it gets the thing on the road. And that's the main gist, or the main aim of this, because there's a lot of other stuff to do here as well. So very, very happy with that. Thanks, Graham, if you see this. It's very easy for me to finish off. Well, the weather packed in as soon as I got home. Peachy bonnet. Here it is here. There are a couple of little pocky marks there. When I take this back to bare metal, if anything looks like it's going to go through, I'll just weld it up. Don't rain. And there is a slight dent there, but otherwise it's perfect. $1,000, which I thought, it's probably a $600-700 bonnet, but looking around, these things are a ridiculous amount of money. So I'm just going to get it under cover and put the trailer away, and got to go and do a few other things, but look, I'm absolutely wrapped with that. It's perfect. Now, that's a really good boot lid. I think it's off an XB, but A, B, C are the same. And there's only a tiny bit of surface rust. It's actually really, really good boot lid. And the guy was good enough. I think he had $400 on it. I gave him $350 and he was happy with that. I think of Graham and Jason Hill as sort of being in the same vein. They're craftsmen at what they do. Jason with his upholstery work is flawless, and Graham with his panel work and metal work. Graham has a habit, and they've both actually got this habit where they're far too generous for their own good, really. This is a Thomson power steering pump, an early one, which is I don't know if XY's used them or they might have had an Eaton. But the XAs, BCs used these before they went to the larger plastic body Thompson. This has had a paint job, it's not a Rico. I need to see what it's like inside because it's not been capped off. But he has cleaned it and painted it, and this was pretty much complimentary. So I spoke to Graham's dad. Graham's dad, George, is a lovely guy, and he and I had a good conversation about some of these parts. And I said, I don't want to take them because they're too good, they're too expensive. So I paid for all this, along with the labour for the XA, which I thought was appropriate. So I got a power steering pump, power steering box for the XA. I want power steering on it. Now, a lovely chap called Addison donated a couple of these. One he said was very good, he wasn't sure about the other one, which I'll fix. So there'll be 3 of them, and they'll go on the 3 Fords. So the XW I haven't got a box for yet, but that's coming. So I'll put power steering on that, of course. I've got a Sagnor on the XC, and I want it to be period correct, so I'll put a Thompson on that, and of course the XA will get one as well. These bits and pieces, of course, you've seen the XAGS 6-cylinder cluster, 240 kilometre speedo, which is about right, I think. But it's got the wrong. It should have a 7,000 tacho, I think, not a 6. A wonderful chap called Harvey is very capable of modifying that, but I'm not sure that I'll use it. I'll try and find one with the 7,000 tack. In saying that, though, the smaller instruments that go along the top are very expensive. In the meantime, I think we'll use the original. We changed the speedo. You've seen that, I think. I'll paint this mask. I'll just do it in a flat black and buy the new lenses which are available, and we'll put that back in the car. This piece of kit here is the dash. Actually in great condition. I do have to go through some of this though. The wiring is a bit stiff, so where it's stiff it'll get chopped out and new correct colour stuff will go in, and you can see all that red bull dust everywhere. This, as we said, is in remarkable condition. Switches are daggy, they don't work, so we'll pull them apart and fix them up. Maybe, I think I've got another headlight switch. Is that the headlight? Yes, that's headlight and that's wipers, isn't it? XA being smooth here, which I didn't know. Graham told me about that. I haven't got the mask, this part here, which doesn't matter. We'll find one somewhere. These sorts of things are exceedingly expensive, but this is a good one. There's a hole. I can fix that, can fill it and fix it. This one, if I see a clock, I might put a clock in. Given that these cars, most of the time the batteries are disconnected because they're not being used, I don't know if I'll put a clock there or not. If I see one, I'll grab it, but you know, COVID tax means that they're probably $500, and if that's the case, I'll just leave it without. Now, there was an eBay auction where I picked up a few bits for an XA. One was a set of screen surrounds, the mouldings for the windshield, $22. The 2 side ones aren't great, but the top and bottom ones are, and it's the top one that's quite difficult to get. And he auctioned other stuff as well. These engine plates, you know, the car hasn't got those. I think they were $80 or something a pair. That's about what you normally pay. These ones are a little bit daggy. I think that's just like deadness stuff. I might get them blasted. And I took, and also the transmission cross member, whoops, bolts. They didn't come with the car, but the cross member did. So now we've got those, which is a treat. I've got the other bolts, of course, that hold the mount on and all that sort of stuff. These are from the XW. I put these on brand new. They're the leaf spring bushes, the front leaf spring bushes. I took them out of the XW springs, the old ones that were riding too high. They're still perfect. I'm going to reuse those in the XA. Another thing I want to show you are these. Now, these are Repro, powered by Ford, valve covers, rock covers. They're longer in this section here, so they're right for XY. They're used on XY GT replicas and all that sort of stuff. These have a whole lot of sand in the powder coating, and so they were discounted, and they're perfect for me. The only thing I don't like about them, and they're sort of powder coated inside as well, I'm going to strip all that off. I'm not interested in that, but because the one thing that I actually really don't like is they've got 2 of these, so they've only made 1 rocker cover. The other ones are supposed to have a thinner grommet there. This is Jason's, sort of like that. They don't have the same, you know, provision for a cap. And now I'm filthy. Hang on a sec. And I'm not having, one thing I hate that people used to do is when they've got 2 filler caps, one at the back and one at the front. I think it looks dumb. So, well, that's just me. I'm not saying it's dumb, but anyway, what I'm going to do is, the XA did come with a non-Power by Ford cover that was found out there that's got the right bit. So on one of these, I'm going to cut that out and weld in the right fitting for the smaller grommet. I don't want a great big grommet that's designed to cover that up. And of course, we'll get all the powder coating off, and then I'll paint them in the proper orange, because we're going to do it a little bit like a K-code. The orange, a lot of people do them more like a red, like a 302. The 350 ones did use a mid-orange on the 2V K-codes. A couple of other bits. That grey motor has to go back to Craig. I've got the machined one for the EJ, which is all done. Heater box, the fan looks great. I haven't tested it yet. We'll get that plated, that rusty backing plate. We'll clean it out, we'll put a new core in, check out the fan. Should all be good. Pedal box came out of the car. Graham's also given me a clutch pedal, because we were going to do a 4-speed, and this pedal box has got the longer pin for the clutch pedal on it, which is a really, really good thing. It's junk. There's the rocker covers. There's the sacrificial one. This is the one. It's actually quite interesting, this, because you can see a nice little wasp nest. That's the bit I'm going to cut out. This has the original 2-barrel 302 bracket that's flat on the top, and that's the smaller air cleaner with the large snorkel, like the 6-cylinders had, the air cleaner like the 6s, and the snout is a bit like the Mustangs. Still haven't finished welding that tunnel in, which is pretty pathetic. These things, spring protectors for the front, they'll just all get powder coated. I'll give those to Sam. He's a wonderful guy. We've also sourced some much better tail lights, and there's nothing wrong with those. There's a little bit of a crack in one, but they're actually not too bad. So all these sorts of things, they're just sitting out in the rain. I don't care. We'll just get them redone. The fuel filler, again, it looks like the XC's one. I'll get that replated and reuse it. Cross member, of course, all this stuff. And there's a little cut there that shows me how the dog legs put together. It's all really, really exciting stuff, although it does look like junk. It's not quite junk though. I can use it. There's the throttle cable, or throttle rod, that goes there. That's for an automatic. Oh, there's this broken bit of mask. I haven't got a new one yet. Wiper blades, of course, or wiper actuator rods. We take all the paint off and we plate those. Make it look pretty, make it look factory. And there's the throttle rod there. And there's the accelerator goes on the end of it. And that would be for an Automagic. That's for the kick down. So I might start with a C4 in it. I'm not sure. We'll just suck it and see. I'm not going to make any predictions with that. But what I do know is it's going to be the gold. What's it called? Summer gold. And it's going to have the chamois interior. So the pale biscuit colour, the sort of beige vinyl, not the dark, not the saddle. So it's going to have the nice light vinyl with saddle coloured inserts and carpet. And of course carpet on the bottom of the door trims as well. So I know exactly what I'm doing with the car, but there's room for changing my mind with some of it. Well, I'm going to start working on this EJ again. We've got a cut here, a transmission tunnel, with a really good cross member. I don't know if you can see under there. Now the other one's all hacked up, so I need to detach the cross member from this skin. I can see some spot welds there. I can sort of see them. I can see them come down here. Can't see the top ones. Oh yeah, there's some there. I've got to find those because I want to leave this intact, and I'm going to have to cut the car back here because it's all being hacked up, and then cut below where the existing cross member is. I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is a mess. Just let me get in. We've got a floor shift cut that's been done with the grinding disc, and it looks really thick, but it's not. It's just where the steel's burred over. So I'm going to tape up. I'm going to cut it back here on the flat part so that rib stays there, and I'll cut behind it, sort of maybe 20mm behind, maybe down here a little bit to expose some of that, although yeah, they've damaged in there too. Some of the cross member's still there, or the brace I should say is still there. The other part's been hacked away. So I'm going to tape this up and I'm going to cut neatly around it and unpick the other one and repair the cross member. Right, so what we've got, we've cut through it all except for the parts over the cross member, although, oh, that's round about in the right spot there. And that's all ready to come out, except I've just got to drill those. I want to leave the old one there so I can see to get it right with positioning and so forth. So I might even use the forward part of it still and just replace the bucket section there rather than unzipping the whole thing, because that means at least I can keep the height of it correct, if you know what I mean. Oh, we've cut it out. You can see with this clown's run a grinding disc into here. He's just missed that bit there, but I'll straighten it and clean it all up and weld a new piece in. That's the old one there. And it'll look good. I'm not going to, originally I've cut down here, I wouldn't have needed to, but I've cut down here because I thought I was going to be cutting the cross member and I'm not. Or the brace, I keep calling it a cross member. I'm going to section it and cut a piece out of that along here and down. That will make sure that the level's all set and all good, which is pretty easy to do anyway with the ruler, but anyway, that's where we got to so far. I've sectioned the cross member. I've taken out all the chewed up stuff. It's a mess, but we don't care. And I can weld all around here. I've just got to scribe. I've got a scriber here. I'm just going to sort of scribe underneath to make sure I can get that right. Yeah. Clean all the metal up, weld it in, and I'm going to run a bit of 3mm flat bar over here, right over to there, and then weld it across. Like I'll just stitch weld it sort of in place. So it gives that a little bit more structure. I don't think this does anything. It just gives the tunnel a bit of structure. You know, a lot of these are cut out in cars, and the cars still have good shut lines and everything, or at least good for an EJ or EH, but I don't think it really does much. But I'm just going to scribe around there. I just want it to look right from underneath and weld it in. I'm just going to tack it in place and geez, even a couple of tacks is pretty strong. Maybe I'll just put that there. Hang on, I just need to be able to reach. Just be able to reach under there. Is that true? Not really. So in a couple of weeks we're going to Adelaide again, so I've got to give this a service. But the heater fan on the 4-speed was very noisy. I thought it was hitting foam. But it looks like it's this jungle of leaves in here. Up in there, I thought there'd be a chunk of foam hitting it. Can I turn that around for you? I don't know if you can see, but it looks fairly clear up there to me. So I'll just clean all that crap out. 3 screws goes back in, and I'll bring this dash cam. It's a 4K gig from JCar, and it was 99 bucks, which I thought was a steal. So I thought, bugger it, why not? But it goes into the cigarette lighter. So I'll try and route the wiring kind of under there so it's not too obtrusive. Just clip it underneath the A-pillar trim. But yeah, that's about it. Got the fan in, and I've got our wiring coming down the A-pillar. Nice and neatly. This is great. You can just sort of pick it off. I've got to take that bit of plastic off. And it just sort of, you can take it off to download it into your computer if you want to. One of the reasons I've done this, I've also cut the head lining a tiny bit just to get the plug a little bit higher. There's a fray there. And it all sort of goes and it clips underneath. I might just do that bit there, and the kicker is you can barely see it there. And that will also, there's no strain on the cable. And I've got a USB power point. We don't smoke in cars. But that's cool. I'm really happy with that. But the fan, look, the fan's finally quiet. Awesome. Right, I'm just going to turn that around. Now, that's recording. If I turn the thing off, there's a fucking off switch. And then if I take it off, that worked. What happens with it sometimes is if you shut the car off, I'll show you when I get home, then it just does this mental, it just keeps chiming. Right, well, I've got my pizza, which is garlic prawn with anchovies. Yum. Still going to go and eat that. And see if we can download this stupid footage. Okay. It sounds just chintzy as hell, doesn't it? Might as well start rolling now. Oh, here come the dogs. How you going, Jace?
Very well, very well.
We'll zoom in on the handshake.
Yeah. Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah. Right, so we've got a 302 here. Soon to be 351. You right, mate?
Yep.
What are the hinges like on this truck?
Yeah. Probably be
That's
okay.
Right. Yeah, it's had brass ones put in. Right, so we've got in the back of the Toyota. Lovely little 351 crank. This is going off to the machine shop. So the first thing, got to take gallery plugs out. Where are they on the other side? I've forgotten to take those out already. And block drains, stuff like that. Get it all hot tanked. And got to get it crack tested. Got to get the crank crack tested. And find out the minimum we can bore it if it needs it, which I would think it would. But it's an original bore block, so it's pretty good. It's actually a nice looking bit of kit. So that'll go off to the machine shop tomorrow, and hopefully we should have some answers soon. What do you reckon, mate?
I'm pretty impressed, Pete. Absolutely impressed, and very, very confident in
me.
In you, yeah.
Yeah, that might be a misnomer. 302 crank and a couple of 302 heads. So I might leave them here for now, unless you want to get him to look at it all at the same time.
He would eventually have to, wouldn't he?
Yeah, but do you want to keep the cost down for now, or do you want to just go?
Well, I mean, I'd rather one bill.
All right.
Yeah.
So they're going as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, no, actually, will the car handle that weight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we're good. Looks like Jason scored himself a 4MAB crank. That is a nice crank. Much smoother casting than the standard Aussie one. The Aussie ones are embossed with 351 on the counterweights, whereas these ones aren't. So that's a nice bit of kit.
It's only got one stamp for 351, I think, or one embossed.
I don't think it's got any, because I turned it around before.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, spin it around. It shouldn't have anything. That's an Australian thing.
Okay.
So they normally would be there or somewhere as you
It's
rotate.
got an X there.
That means someone kissed it.
Yeah. It's probably been
Probably
balanced.
you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well that's how they balance it. It's
Yeah.
been sort of knocked, I mean, but you know he'll check all it. There was nothing there. No, it's definitely it's got to be an American one. I reckon it is. Yeah, as soon as I just bring it around again, so I just want to see if I can. I'll get a photo of that and see if I can zoom in. Well, what would you do if I told you that Corolla had a 351 in it? In the boot. Well, I'm going to bring the Commodore home. Let's see, I've hosed it off a bit, which I don't like doing on an indentation like that, but some rats got in and chewed up some of the under insulations under the bonnet, so I'll get a new one of these. I was wondering where I put this. And so I'm taking it out of here. I've got the Sigma in. We drove the Sigma up yesterday. Anyway, coming outside, where was it? Oh, I don't know, just outside Melbourne. The alternator light starts coming on, and I think the regulator's died, which isn't hard to fix. It's very easy on those. But as soon as I got to the gate, I shut it off and then went to start it, and the battery was dead flat. So I got here just on the remnants of an old battery, and the wipers were very slow, and it started raining like heavily, so I was kind of bricking it a bit. But yeah, I'm going to take this home. So I put that cover back on, because this car's very low mileage. It's a good car, and I don't want any damage done to it. So I bought it here initially because I didn't want any clear coat peeling. It's grotty, so I'll give it a wash and make tracks. Feel a little bit better if I had some compressed air. Blow it all off. I've got to give it a bit of a hose off now because it's filthy. Right, I've always been a big fan of Retro Tech CB Radio. It's a Pierce Simpson Superline. I found it in a job lot of bits, if you know what I mean, and it was $50. So I thought, what the heck. Last time I used one of these, I must have been 16 or 17. Very old-fashioned the way it's laid out. Where are my other glasses? Here. Now, these things, I'm going to say this would be late 80s, 88, 89, you know. I had two CB radios as a kid. One was a Hustler UCP 1854 and the other was a Rush W65. And the reason I had those is because they were very expandable with channels. Now, back in the 70s when CB radio was all the rage, they had banks of crystals to determine the frequencies you could receive and transmit on. And in the sort of mid-late 70s, I guess, and on, they had what's called PLL, which was phase lock loop, and it's an integrated circuit there. And that would much more accurately determine the frequencies, and also they were supposed to be not so expandable in terms of channels, but there were two types. There was a PLL 02A and a PLL 858, which were very, very expandable, and you could use a bit of kit called a red code digiscan and just dial up the frequency you wanted. It gave you a few hundred channels. They're very elusive, those things, you never see them. So I had a modified Rush, although I didn't have a digiscan. You could put switches on the back and do this sort of stuff. I don't even know if this thing works. Why don't we get a battery and see, because I haven't even tested it. And I can't really test it because you need specialist kit, which shows you the power output. Now this is an AM and sideband one. So you've got AM 40 channels and lower and upper side 40 channels each. So let me just pause for a moment and connect some power up to it. Just kill that light for a second. I've got a dodgy alligator clip. We have juice. And all those display things look like they're working alright. I can't see now. Hang on. Side, upper side, lower side, and AM. That all looks pretty good, doesn't it? I like these sorts of things. I just want to see something. It came with its original mic. Now I can't. I obviously can't transmit on it. I just want to see if it makes a relay noise when I click it. Oh, I was doing something on the meter. But yeah, that's it. See, it's just died. I think that battery might be a bit dead. What's going on here? Anyway, it seems to work. Right. So, you know, I don't know if it works, I've not tested it, I don't know how to test it without putting an antenna in. And I'm not into this, you know, 10-4 rubber ducky nonsense. But I do like the idea of retro stuff. And, you know, I don't know much about these Pierce Simpson ones, but it all seems to be pretty good. So I can just bang it back together, and eventually I might sort of, you know, muck around with it and see what I can do. A lot of old electronics like this do require, I can't see, you to check out electrolytic capacitors, these sorts of things here, just to make sure they're not leaking. And a lot of old electronics do need to have their capacitors changed over. Doesn't look like it's leaking anywhere though. And if I pull the top part off, if I can get it off. Geez, they're tight. They don't make cabinets like this anymore. This is really thick. You know, there's nothing on there that I can see. Oh, there's here. Look at that. That's not good. That's corrosion. What's on the other side of that? Not much. Some of that J-car contact and cleaner would probably be good on that. I might go and get some of that, give it a clean up, but otherwise it looks pretty good. There's a bit of muck there. What's that stuff there? What's behind here? A great big capacitor. That could be stuffed, that one there. Anyway, it's food for thought. Well, it's a start. Right, just a moment. Right, so we've got some period flex or cord, if you like, from Duck Fat online. 3-core, of course, this thing has to be earthed. The other thing is, the earth is connected down here. I'm just going to pop that out. Has that got a terminal on it, has it? Yes, it does. Oh no, it's just a little fitting. What's that? Here we go. We can pull that off. That's a sort of proprietary bit. I'm going to try and clean that. All Bakelite stuff. Now, what I'm not sure of, I'm just going to cut these off. That's all the rubber insulated wiring. You just don't go there. It becomes loose. Over time, in some cases, I've seen it actually liquefy. It's really not good. I can probably use my finger. Actually, yeah, I can use my fingernails to sort of grab it. That's still actually quite good, but I'm not going to use it. But what I do want to know, and this isn't great, this thing, there are a few cracks around it, but I need to know which of these is switched, because we've got to put the active, or the red one, in the one that's switched. We need to be careful of that. So we're just going for continuity. And if I pop that in there, whoops, I might actually just take that off. Oh no, fuck it, we'll just do it this way. Maybe I should go and get a set of alligator clips. Yeah, they're both actually switched. It's not just one of them. So it won't matter which is active and which is neutral in this case. We can just wire it in. And they get secured under there. So there's a few things we've got to be careful of, because the length of it was all wrong. Just a moment, I'm going to go over here now. We need to make sure that the load of this thing is taken up down the stem of it, not around the Bakelite. So we've got fittings that go in, and tubes and bits and pieces. That fit in like that. Right, where's this thing? And this is dented as well. It's a real issue. Now, what we're going to do is go straight edge and measure with this thing sort of pseudo assembled how much space we've got between there and the flange where it mounts. And so we need to make sure that there's a certain amount of, it's not going to fit, of room. Now this would have been much better to make on a lathe and have it stepped, but I need to make sure, and I think that's all right there, that it's going to work, rather than placing the weight on the Bakelite, which would be a bad idea. Whoops. That tube needs to be tight, and so far it's not, so I'm just going to have to shim that, and then I can tighten that down. Well, I took a little bit more cable off the earth so it would wrap really well around that post, and it's got a washer sitting in a sort of rebated washer as well. The reason I went to the trouble of checking continuity, I didn't know if both of these were switched, both the active and neutral. But if the neutral, if we didn't know that, if there's only one of them switched and we weren't sure which, it's a dangerous thing to do, because the light will still work if you're switching neutral, but it just means that's always live in there, even when the light's off. if you know what I mean. So we have to make sure that's all good. Here's the conduit. Now I might run into a bit of trouble here because the nut that's meant to be here is a different type of nut. It's on the base of the lamp at the bottom. Look at this, I cracked it. I'm so cross with myself. Actually, we'll put that there so it's not as noticeable. What I want to do now, continuity check, we've got the earth. That's the active. It should be safe to test. Okay. Bummed about that crack. So disappointed. Well, that's it. It's a bit of a shame that we cracked the top of it, but I think it looks pretty good anyway. So, whatever the case, take good care of yourselves, enjoy your classic, and I'll see you soon. What do you reckon? Move. Move, Cat. Move. Move. Come on. Off we go.